Oh, I guess, yeah, I'll take over. I didn't even ask who was
Yeah,
introing.
that's it.
My
You're doing
bad.
the intro, you know.
All right, guys, welcome back. This one is one that I sent to Delancey. It was like, hey, can we talk about this? And luckily, she's always down to talk about anything. But this is something that I stumbled across. Somebody posted this book on social media, and I was like, this is interesting. Yes, I did get the book on Audible. Yes, I did start listening to it. Uh, anyway, I get it. I get why people write these things. I get it, but and I do like there's so much I can get into, and I haven't even started that much. But what it comes down to, the name of this book is 20 Things Adopted Kids Wish Their Adoptive Parents Knew. And the title of the book, honestly, how does the title of the book make you feel? Let's start there.
I mean, I don't know. It kind of, it's like the title of the book just seems very, I don't know. It seems very pointed, but not in a bad way. Does that make sense?
No. Yep.
Like it's very clear on what the book is going to be about, and I like that. There's no like from the title of the book, it seems like there's zero deception. Like
Right.
there's not a
Right.
bait and switch. It's just straightforward. So whereas I may not be thrilled with the title, I respect the title. Does
Correct.
that, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
No, because I'm with you 100%. At least it's to the point. It's not trying to like floof around it.
Yeah. The floofy stuff needs to stay away.
Yeah, agreed. So okay, like I said, I started it. There's things that like I'm already like "Meh" with it. But I don't know. I've also
I really
acknowledged, and
like
I
that
talked to this
descriptive word.
to Lancey about it before. I was talking to her, is like, this is where this person, you can tell there was a lot of hurt in their world. And that's where it does make me sad. And so if they need
Mhm.
to write it out, that's totally fine. But this is where I like to talk about these things with Delancey, because then it's not every single person. Does that make sense? And she does acknowledge in the book too, like, I understand not everybody's like this, but like, it does happen this way too. So what I was going to do is just go over these pinpoints with Delancey real quick, and we'll see her thoughts on these. I haven't even hit the pinpoints that she's talked over. She's kind of going over loss and stuff in the first part of the book right now, like when a child is placed for adoption. So anyway, and she talks a lot about closed adoption too. So obviously her adoption was closed. I mean, mine and Delancey's were closed too, but I was telling Delancey beforehand, I like the shift of the world where, open adoption, but we also acknowledge, I like Delancey brought up a very good point. Open adoption isn't for everybody too. There's certain circumstances where
Yeah,
it can't.
it's yeah,
And
it's not for all. It's not
right.
for all scenarios. I guess it's one of those things where like we have to realize that with adoption, it's not a one size fits all.
Correct. Yes.
It's just
But
not.
that's like with anything. And I wish people would
Hmm.
remember that. But like I said, I think as I get more into it, I do like she does acknowledge like kind of both sides of it. Like even though she's hurting so bad, she also acknowledges some people don't even want to deal with any
Hmm.
of this, which is totally fine too. So, okay. It kind of, I don't know. Is that full 20? Okay. I'm going to start with these ones because she's got them labeled different. But this one actually starts with the 20 things your adopted child wants you to know. Um, so this says, I suffered a profound loss before I was adopted. You are not responsible. What do you feel on that?
Confusion.
Right. So I don't know. And that's
I don't know what we're meaning.
right. Like, I don't know if she's meaning like,
Does
because
she mean
from
her
what
biological family?
I think so. And then you are not
Maybe.
responsible. I don't know what they mean by that. Like, it's not your responsibility to like make me feel better. That's what I'm saying.
Or
Some of
maybe
these,
she means you're not responsible for the loss of
yeah.
the biological family. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
very broad,
Agreed.
but I would hope that that's just the bullet point,
Correct.
and
These are
she
just bullet
goes into
points.
descriptors later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you mentioned that you had started listening. Is that the
Yeah.
first part that
I
she
haven't quite got there yet. So I haven't gotten
Okay.
to her bullet points. I'm still in the intro where she talks about
I,
hidden losses and entering your child's world.
okay. So essentially we need to, spoiler alert, probably do a follow-up after we
Yeah.
both have time to do this
Right.
book.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're welcome to
Um,
tap into my Audible if you want and listen to it. I'll tell you that right
I'm just trying to figure out, it's one of those things like where fun fact, when Milena texted me about this yesterday, I was actually sitting at a softball game. So I was like, I looked at it and my friend who works with me, on campus, she was like, what are you looking at? And I was like, oh, my friend Melena just sent this to me. She was like, oh, well, do you need to read that? I was like, I cannot read that at the softball game right now. I will have to read this later. So, the update may, guys, come a little later.
Yeah.
Come a little slow to get
Which,
stuff read. I'm still working on a book I started in January, so
no,
that's where we are.
it's totally okay. But I just think it's still fun to like hash these out because like we
Oh
can
yeah,
go
no,
off
no,
of
no, no,
what,
no.
yeah. So
100%. I just like I think it's kind of important that we reiterate that we haven't read this book and we're just going
yes,
off of
correct.
what our feelings are, because you said the points, where are they listed are they listed
So
in the description of the Audible, or where are they? I'm
So
trying to.
when you click on like the book to get kind of like a sneak peek of it, it gives
Mhm.
you like the sneak peek
For
and then
20 points.
yeah, and then she breaks down the chapters.
Mm.
So that's where I'm looking right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, knee-jerk reaction, that's kind of a confusing statement to make. And
Yeah.
I guess that's the point of a writer, to create intrigue and curiosity and be like, oh, what does she exactly mean? Well, I'm very curious to know exactly what she means, because my perception is that, as she's saying, that as an adoptee, she suffered a profound loss of her biological family, and it's not her adoptive family's responsibility, or it's not her adoptive family is not responsible for that loss,
Yeah.
or they're responsible to make her feel better about that loss. I guess it could be both. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Right. No,
Maybe.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that one was a little, it was word. I think it's exactly what
Oh,
you're saying.
well.
It's kind of like a bait
Oh,
and
well.
hook. So you'll have to actually expand on it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like to see what her thoughts are. Okay.
Mhm.
The second one. I need to be taught that I have special needs arising from adoption loss, of which I need not be ashamed. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, the stuff that I've already listened to, it doesn't sound like with the family she's kind of talking to the majority of where they have like this angst against it. They are not openly communicating with their adoptee that they're adopted, which breaks my heart. It's all because she's kind of going back to when she was adopted, and she's older than me and Delancey, but like how everything was so hush hush. You don't, people thought, I guess she's saying professionals thought, you don't talk about it, you don't acknowledge it, you don't acknowledge differences that your biological family may have from you, or your adoptive family will have from you if you look different. Like just
Mhm.
very weird. To me, it was just very weird. Like, and me and Delancey are closed adoptions, but I know that
Mhm.
like me and Delancey both have had so much of this brought up to us in our lives. Like our parents did such a good job of, you're adopted,
Mhm.
this happened. Yes, you're different. We love you. You know what I mean? Like it to us,
Mhm.
it wasn't weird. Like,
It
right?
wasn't
Like
a
with your
thing.
family?
It
Yeah,
wasn't a,
yeah,
wasn't a secret. It wasn't
yeah,
like, it wasn't taboo, I guess is
yeah.
the way to put that.
Right. Right. And so it just was very interesting. It was like, yeah, because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like it's difficult. It's important to point that out, because, like, our parents did such a great job
Right.
of relaying that. So I guess that is important. Not I guess. It is important to point that out, that like this should be communicated. It should not be a secret, because, anytime it's a secret and secrets get found out, there's always, no matter how big or small the secret is, or if you're trying to keep it to protect somebody's feelings, their feelings are going to get hurt
Mhm. For sure. For
because
sure.
you kept that from them.
Right.
And it's going to break trust. It's going to break any relationship that you have. On the flip side, I think at the same time, to compare the generational differences is a little dangerous, because things were done so differently,
Mhm.
that there was the whole entire thing of, decades ago, it was very important to have the optics were more important about your family, where and now it's like people are more open about communication, about if they're struggling, and whatever is going on. Now, they're not going to go blast their business around the city, because there's still the gossip and gussies who like to make it,
Right.
spread around, make it their entertainment.
Right.
But I read that sentence again, though, because there's something that's like keeps replaying in my brain that was said in the sentence, and I want to make sure that I heard it right.
Yeah, no, of course it says, I need to be taught that I have special needs arising from adoption loss, of which I need not be ashamed. I
That's
just
what
saw
I
your,
thought I heard. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I do not think that, do we know if she was adopted, like,
She's an adoptee.
but at what age she was adopted? Because I feel like that's important.
10 days, 10 days
Okay.
old, 10 weeks old, 10 something. I can't even remember now. But it wasn't very, does that make sense? Like she was
It
still
wasn't 10 years old.
right, 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 right,
There's a difference to
right, right.
me, and despite what anyone wants to tell me or say or whatever. I love to hear other people's points of views, but in my perspective, my opinion, before somebody wants to be like, I think there is a vast difference of somebody being adopted at 10 days old or 10 weeks old or 10 months old, anytime any of those tens, and 10 years old.
Correct.
At 10 years old, I would definitely agree that there are special needs that come from a loss, a
Agreed.
profound loss.
Right. No, for sure.
I would definitely support that statement and be like, 100%,
Right.
this 10-year-old has gone through it
Mm.
and is going to need support and love and encouragement and someone to talk to and guidance and all of those things, because that is a whole lot for a 10-year-old to try to understand and comprehend. At 10 months old, you're still trying to, eat without slobbering all over your shirt and all over the table. Like, I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah. No, it's
and
true.
that's, I'm not trying to, like, I'm not dismissing it, but I think that there is, I feel like there's too much emphasis put on making that blanket statement of we should be treated special and different because we're adopted, and that's, I deserve this, I deserve that because I was adopted.
Right.
I mean, all children deserve love, all children deserve support, all children deserve those things. When I hear, and that goes back to the buzzword that kept playing in my head, special needs,
Right.
that was very intentional. Those words were very intentionally used
Yeah.
again to create intrigue and to be like, oh my gosh,
Right.
I feel like that's a very intentional statement that
Agreed.
I don't necessarily agree with the use of
Yeah.
in that sentence.
Yeah. I agree. No, I agree with you. I agree with everything you said.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure our listeners know that whenever it comes to words and stuff, I'm like, choose them wisely.
Very true. No, very true.
Because I like people to hold me accountable when I say stuff that like goes sideways. And I'm like, whoa, 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 okay, that was bad. I did not mean it like that. You know what? You're
Right.
right. That came out wrong.
Right.
You know
Right.
what? That word, poor word choice. Let me find a better one.
Yeah.
Like that's, but when you put it in writing and you publish it, that's
Right.
very intentional.
Yeah. No,
So,
agreed. Agreed 100%.
hmm,
So,
hmm. Just gonna say that.
no, you're good. Okay. Next bullet point. You ready? Oh, yeah. Okay. If I don't grieve my loss, my ability to receive love from you and others will be hindered. Hindered? Did I read that right? Hindered?
Hmm.
If I don't grieve my loss, my ability to receive love from you and others will be hindered. Oh my gosh, I can't even say that word. Hindered. So like suppressed, right?
Okay. One more time, because I'm like, okay, listen, I'm giggling at you because you're giggling. You know, we can't make eye contact when we both start to giggling because we get to giggling. And then Pockets over here, like, try to walk across the floor in front of the camera. This was a terrible idea for me to sit on the floor, but it's what we got. So one more time, one more time. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, don't be. If I don't grieve my loss, my ability to receive love from you and others will be hindered. So I think it's like, if you don't allow me to
Okay.
acknowledge it, then I can't be loved, is what I'm getting from it. Receive love.
Ha okay, I'm sorry. One more time. If you don't allow me, is that what it starts with? If you don't allow me to grieve my, is that what that started with? Because I'm
if
like, I feel like my
if
brain is filling
no,
in
you're good.
words.
So if I don't grieve my loss, then my
Okay.
ability to receive love from you and others will be, she just put a big word, hindered. Hinder.
will be hindered. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Like my brain kept rearranging that sentence for like um I mean, I guess this is hard. I mean, it's hard for me to relate on this. I love how Paga just stepped in the frame. It's hard for me to relate on this because it's I didn't I guess I just look at my adoption differently because I don't consider my adoption and any form of my adoption a loss.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
to
No.
like respectfully, I winning.
Yeah. Right.
Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
guess because I don't I'm almost wondering how I don't know. I don't want to go down that road. Let me go down this other road. I guess because my parents did such an amazing job, and I think you can say the same thing, that my parents did such an amazing job. My sisters did such a great job making sure that I knew and understood that I was chosen,
Yeah.
that
Right.
it was a choice. I was
Yeah.
chosen. I never felt like I lost anything. I never grieved. The only time I felt grief, genuine grief,
Yeah.
was when I found out that my biological dad had died back in
Right.
1986.
Yeah. Yeah.
Outside of that, I've never at one moment felt
Right.
grief.
Right.
Like
No.
I guess I don't that has to be like specific for her.
Yeah, because then here, this next one kind of goes with it. It says my unresolved grief may surface in anger toward you. So this is where I don't know. I feel like this is where
Are
I'm
we
gonna
sure she
always
I'm not gonna say that. Go ahead.
no, I'm gonna clap back with adoption doesn't make your circumstances. I get there can be harder adoptions where, there is a whole bunch of this. I'm not denying any of
Hmm.
this that she's feeling, but you can get into a
Hmm.
family, with a kid with divorce or a kid with the loss of a
Hmm.
parent or a kid with just a really hard home situation that a lot of these can apply to. I'm just going to say that because it can. It really can. Um like your unresolved grief, you had a parent pass away when you were
Hmm.
3 years old, and that's something you're going to have to deal with because when you're three you remember that, you know what I mean, and that is
Hmm.
something that's huge. I don't know, that's what I'm always going to clap back with is it's like this and I just yeah I just with these kinds of things because okay, I'm just gonna maybe go through this one too because they're she like does a whole bunch on grieving. I need your help in grieving my loss. Teach me how to get in touch with my feelings about my adoption and then validate them. This is something that I right off the bat I will say, just be open about it. Just be open about freaking like that they're adopted and those kinds of things. Don't close it. Don't acknowledge all the beauty in it because then you don't it goes with anything. Acknowledge it. Be open about it. Be open about it because then it's never like a secret and it's nothing that people are going to have angsty feelings about the older they get. That's just what I feel. That's just don't hide it. Don't hide
I guess I don't understand. I mean, it just it.
it.
Oh God. I mean, Pocket is just on it today. I feel. I mean, open about, but like it goes back to being like open about anything. Families shouldn't have secrets from each other.
Amen. Amen.
Like that's the thing. Like it goes back to anything. Like be open about it. And if your child has feelings, don't tell them they're right or wrong. Just be like, okay,
Right. Right.
walk me through that.
Exactly.
And help them find healthy ways to express their feelings
Right.
or to understand their feelings or whatever, like healthy, beneficial ways.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
Like every
Yeah.
child is different. I everything 100%, you're completely correct.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to read this book now.
Yes. Okay. Next one. Just because I don't talk about my birth family doesn't mean I don't think about them. Again, like so many of these things can be resolved if you're an open book about it. For me, I'll be like with me, the only reason I ever thought about my birth mom was to tell her thank you. That's always been my sole purpose. If you
Mhm,
followed my journey, you know that's the whole
mhm,
thing with seeking her out, was to tell her thank you, because I'm like Delancey, to where
mhm,
I'm so incredibly grateful. Like I am.
mhm,
I am so incredibly grateful. Like thank you, like winning, like what she said, like so true. You know what I
mhm,
mean? So true.
mhm,
And so, but again, it comes back to just being freaking open about it. Just talk to the freaking child about it, like that they're adopted. Like it doesn't hurt anything.
mhm.
It's not going to turn. I just don't understand that. So yeah, I'm with Lancia.
Well, I mean, it just goes back to what our thing is. What kind of conversations are you and your family not having?
Right. Exactly.
Like, I mean,
Exactly.
there needs to be, even if you can't, like, I mean, sometimes kids can't talk to their parents because they're not comfortable, but like they can talk to a sibling or something. Or if they don't
Right.
have a sibling, they may have a grandparent, or they may have, there's somebody in your family you can talk to about stuff like this. Like, I don't,
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe some people in your family don't know how to have the conversation with you.
Right. Right. Right.
Like, I don't, just
Yeah.
goes back to talking, dude. When did people
Yeah.
like not talk to their kids?
Agreed. No, agreed. I'm gonna
And
read
you
these
said she's older than
next.
us? She's
Yes.
older than us, right? Okay.
Yes. 1940.
Oh, well, yes. I know I'm
Nine,
old, but yes.
19. Okay. No. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, she's got quite a few years on this. Okay. Let me read these next ones because I feel like they all go together. Oh, did I read this one? I don't know if I did. I want you to take the initiative in opening conversations about my birth family. I need to know the truth about my conception, birth family, family history, no matter how painful the details may be. I'm afraid I was given away by my birth mother because I was a bad baby. I need you to help me dump my toxic shame. So, this right here are very specific to her. I can tell that right now. These are feelings she
Hmm.
probably felt. This doesn't apply to
Hmm.
everybody, but it's a lot of whole
Nope.
wrapped into the birth family. But again,
Hmm.
it goes back to just being open. Just tell them if they have questions. Like it
What
goes
if they
back.
don't know though?
Well, and then that's the other thing. You have to
If it's
just
a
be honest
closed
about it.
adoption,
I
maybe
don't
they
know.
don't know. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
the
don't know.
my
Yeah.
family didn't know anything. They knew
But like,
nothing.
look with Greg. His parents turned it into a bedtime story. They didn't
Hmm.
have all the crazy details, but they turned it into a bedtime story of like,
Hmm.
like eh, I don't know. I feel like there's so many ways that like I don't know. And that's the other
I
thing.
just
I do
feel
know that
like
we've closed, it's
I
hard
just
with all
feel
the
like
info.
communication is the
Key.
solution to all of this.
Right? Yeah,
I know you've said
exactly.
that. I'm going to reiterate it. Communication fixes a lot of things.
It does. It
Just
totally
saying.
does.
Just
N-
saying.
no, it's so true. Okay. I'm going to read through more of these. Okay. I'm afraid you will abandon me. I may appear more whole than I am actually. I need your help to uncover the parts of myself that I keep hidden so I can integrate all of the elements of my identity. Okay. This is just any person. Let's be real. As you're growing, you got to figure out who you are, all those kinds of things. It's freaking part of life. It's not just because you're
Right.
adopted. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Like,
Well, it, there's a lot of things. Okay. Does she write this as like an autobiography or
it started out that way, her talking about kind of grieving her parents and like yeah, like yeah, it starts out that way, and then she also brings in other people's stories, um like little blips of them is what it's kind of started out as. So but I really believe most of it's like her, and I get what she's trying to do. She's trying to help educate, but like, and I need to get into the book more because, like I said, I do like how she has acknowledged not
right,
everybody feels this way, which it
right.
does
Not
need to
everyone
be
feels
said that.
this, but
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
I guess I find it, I don't know. I always find things like this a little confusing just because like it's not like you're writing a list of what you should pack to go on a cruise.
Correct. No, exactly. No, I agree 100%.
Like this is somebody's like when you're dealing with emotions and feelings and they're told from like a first person perspective and things, you don't want
Yeah,
to make people feel like they're pigeonholed into having to feel the way that somebody else does
exactly.
because like I don't know, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it from just my perspective of like I never had problems with my identity like that because I've always just been growing as a person and developing and you go through stages and that's any kid, any teenager. I mean,
Yes.
Like, I think I shocked one of the kids at church when I explained to him that I went through an emo phase, and he was like, "You?" I was like, "I know. Weird, huh? But every
Surprise.
kid in the 90s had an emo phase. Hate to break it to you, child." But
That's so
like,
funny.
that's like you said, that's everybody. That's growing and developing and figuring out who you are and what you
Right?
believe in and your core beliefs and your everything. Like,
Yeah. No, that's
again,
so true.
winning,
Yeah.
winning.
No, no, agreed. Okay, let me read a couple of these because again, they kind of go into
Yeah.
the same thing. And I mean, me and Delancey have talked about this before, so I'm going to preface this before I read all these. Any human should take the time to do some self-discovery and some self-love. I'm sorry, but you should to work on how you can be better. Like,
Hmm.
and so I'll run off of these real quick. Yeah, I read that one. Okay. I need to gain a sense of personal power. Please don't say I look like or act just like you. I need to acknowledge and celebrate our differences. Let me be my own person, but don't let me cut myself off from you. Please respect my privacy regarding my adoption. Don't tell other people without my consent. Birthdays may be difficult. Not knowing my full medical history can be distressing at times. Um, okay, I'll stop there and then
Those
I'll go
first
over
few
the
are
other ones.
contradictory.
Yeah. So like, uh,
You can't speak out. I'm sorry, respectfully, and I don't know another way to say this, but my grandfather used to say it. You can't speak out of both sides of your mouth.
it's true. No, it's so
You
true.
can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, pick one.
Yeah. See,
Pick one.
because
Because that's not like, I take it as a badge of honor when people say I'm just like my mom.
right.
I love that. I love when people say I'm just like my mom, or they point out things that are my mom, and they point out things that are my dad, and I take that as a
Yeah.
badge of honor because that means they raised me right.
Right. Well, and like celebrating the differences, like I never needed to be acknowledged that I was different. I knew I was different, like appearances, but I feel like my parents did such a good job at that. They like bought me brown dolls and black Barbies and like that's how they knew how to do it best. And they did acknowledge that. You know what I mean? But I was never once like you have to acknowledge my differences. I never felt that way. It was just something that like,
I don't.
look, yeah, I'm brown, you're white, and it's beautiful and we can be a
That's
family
what I'm
and we can love
saying.
each
Like,
other. Like, you know what I mean? It's ugh, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. It's so
Yeah.
confusing because I like my parents didn't buy me. They got me like brunette Barbies, but like never like brown or black Barbies or like brown or black dolls. But like that was never a thing for me.
See, and that's totally
Like
okay.
I never noticed that.
Right.
I was brought up around a diverse group of people, thankfully, with my dad being in college athletics, like we had the diversity like
Yeah.
already around us.
Right.
But like my tan skin has always been like celebrated. Like
Agreed.
it's now it's gotten to the point that it's a competition to see who can get
It's
tanner than
so
Aunt
true.
Delancey. Can someone get tanner than Aunt Delancey? And they
I love
will,
it.
after 2 weeks at the beach,
Oh no.
who are darker than you. I'm like, I have been in the office for 2 weeks.
My body
If
has
I
not
was
seen the
on the
sun.
beach for 2 weeks as well,
Right.
I guarantee I'd be darker than all of you. But like that's
Yeah.
those first few statements were very contradictory. Like you
Right.
can't,
Right.
I mean, it's just you're asking a lot
Right.
of people who are just doing the best that they can.
Right.
You're expecting too much, and again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know. But
No, and it's okay.
I
But
just,
my biggest thing with this is like I'm a parent and it just breaks my heart because it's like every
Mhm.
parent is doing the best that they can. Like they're
Mhm.
not, you know what I mean? Granted, there are some I'm
Granted,
not
there are
saying that
some, I was gonna say, there are some crap parents out
right.
there.
Agreed.
Granted, there
Agreed.
are some terrible human beings out there,
Right. Right.
but holistically, it doesn't sound like she had terrible parents.
No, no. Not from no. Exactly.
It just
Uh,
sounds like she had parents who just
yeah.
did the best they could with what they
Exactly.
knew.
Exactly. So like birthdays may be difficult for me. They have never once been difficult for me. Not for me.
Oh,
I've
I hate
always
them.
loved my birthday. See, and I love my birthday. And you like your gotcha
I
day, and
hate
I've
them.
never really had
I
my
like
gotcha
my
day
gotcha day.
celebrated. So it's different. See, but two sides. But do we hate adoption because of that? Absolutely not. Are we angry
No,
about that? Absolutely. But that's what I'm saying.
no. The
Like,
reason me hating my birthday is like, I always tell people that people like, I actually had somebody say, because you're adopted. No, I hate my birthday because it's stupid because I never get to do what I want to do. I never get to do what I want to do. It's always about what everybody else wants to do. It's always what everyone else wants, where everyone else wants to go eat or whatever, whoever else wants to. No, I hate my birthday. It's stupid. I think it's dumb. I like my gotcha because not everybody has one.
See, there you go.
We
Exactly.
celebrate Pocket's gotcha day, the day I brought her
Exactly.
back, like the day I
Right.
brought her home. We celebrate
Yeah.
hers because not everybody has a gotcha day, and a gotcha day is very special
Hmm.
to those of us that are adopted.
Right. Yeah, mine
Just
mine was
saying.
never like acknowledged, and I'm not angry about that. Does that make sense? Like,
See, yeah.
yeah.
And like mine, the only reason mine started getting acknowledged is because I started acknowledging it,
Right, exactly.
because I
Exactly.
started celebrating it because I want to celebrate
Yeah. See,
my family choosing me.
and I could do the same thing right now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I could go figure it
it's
out and
it's
do it.
all
Like, yeah.
it's all choices. It's
Exactly.
all choices. What did I see the other day that was so perfectly done? It was a thing on TikTok where it's a video of a Gen Zer versus a boomer.
Uh-huh.
I always love those videos. They're so
I do
funny.
too.
The Gen Zer goes, "You can't say that. That's offended. That's offensive." And the boomer goes, "No, you found it offensive.
Exactly.
You looked to be
Ooh.
offended." And he goes,
Ew.
"That's on you." And it's over. And I'm going,
I, yes, I love that because it's so true. It's so true. Oh, it's so true. Yes. Oh, I love that. Okay, let's see. I will. Okay. So I'll read these next two bullet points and then the very last one. I like how she ends it. Okay, so the next one's I'm afraid I will be too much for you to handle. And when I act
mm,
out my own fears, my obnoxious ways. Oh, when I act out my fears and obnoxious ways, please hang in there with me and respond wisely. Like again, I feel like this is with kids in general. Like, you know what I mean? Like just kids in general, like they could feel this way. It's not just because you're adopted. Does that make sense? Like it can be any kid that's like, if they see their parent has, a whole load of stress, it's like, shoot, am I going to be too much right now? And kids act out in obnoxious ways to get attention anyway. Hello. I know my own kids do that. Like if there's stuff going on, then I usually have to sit them down and be like, what's going on? Like, how come we're feeling this way? But it's just not adopted kids. It's like kids in general can feel this way. I'm not saying all kids, but kids in general can feel this way. You know what I mean? It's not just because I'm adopted.
it's not just that though, but it's like, don't ask for a permission slip to have crap behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at
You
you.
don't get a permission slip to be a terrible human being and to act out in it. Like like
Right.
specifically said
Yeah. Yeah.
She,
That's what it
like
says.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, these
Obnoxious.
words are so intentional
Yeah.
that I don't know. I just find it hard to write permission slips to say, yeah, go ahead, act out in obnoxious ways, and that's
Right.
okay.
Just because
That's
this
all
is
right.
going on.
Go for it.
Exactly.
Go
Exactly.
for it.
Yeah.
Like if you have some people have an outburst where they just cannot handle it anymore, and that's the only way they know to express themselves. I get
Yeah.
that. I
Right.
understand that. When those are a flash in the pan. But when you are constantly working on, you're about to boil over. I mean, like that's not, I don't know. If you have those moments, like I said, if you have those moments where like you have that outburst of energy and you just can't handle it anymore, that's one thing.
Right.
But you need to accept that I'm going to act out in obnoxious ways.
Right. 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 It's like, yeah, exactly. Which I love that you pointed it out that way because yeah, it's not like, okay, yeah, you get this free pass because of this. Yeah. No, I agree.
It's
I
no,
agree.
it's you want to be given a permission slip to act out with bad behavior, and
Right.
somebody just stand by and let it happen,
Right.
instead of them being I don't know, your parent,
Right.
and teaching you how to cope in appropriate ways
Exactly.
and healthy
Exactly.
ways.
Yeah.
I just mm,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that just
No,
really like stuck out to me with all of that.
that's obnoxious. Yeah. The big word.
Though just
Big
the
word.
word, like the word choice is so intentional.
Yeah. It is. No. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Okay. This very last one.
Hmm.
Even if I decide to search for my birth parents, I always want you. Oh, okay, let me start over. Even if I decide to search for my birth family, I will always want you to be my parents, which I did like how she ended on that note because it's like, I don't know, like for my personal journey, this was a big thing of mine.
Yeah,
I know there
same.
were feelings of you're going to be replaced, and it absolutely, no, you're not. Like,
Right.
and that made me be like, seriously, what have I don't know. For me, it was like, what have I ever done to make you think that I want this person as my
That
parent?
part, that part. That part, it's like, and not just like them being replaced, but like I had that, like I talked about in our very, 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 very beginning in our interview, when we did the interview for me and stuff, it's like, are you trying to give me back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
was that was my thing. Like, why are you trying to get me back? Like, what the crap?
Right.
Like, what the, you
Right.
can't do that. Like,
Right.
you were my parents, you're my family, you're stuck with me. And it's kind of like, it goes back to the whole entire thing of, you're my, I like that. I really do like she ended on that note, because I can
Agreed.
100% agree with that,
Agreed.
because from my standpoint, you're my family, you're stuck with me. That is the end game of it.
Yes.
And then over here, it's like I
Yes.
said in my update episode, I've been trying to figure out for the last 5, 6 years where everybody else fits,
Right.
because I already have these roles, like
Right.
these like positions are already filled.
That was
These
so
positions are already
fast.
filled. Like, she's quick like lightning, man.
Sorry, anyway,
Quick like
positions already
lightning.
filled.
If you're not watching the YouTube video, you really should, because it's an interesting one. Um, but the positions were already filled. I have
Yeah.
mom, I have dad, I have
Right.
sisters,
Right.
I have brothers-in-law, I have nieces, I have nephews. Like, we're all good here. Like,
Yeah.
as far as like set positions, but there's always
Right.
room at my table
Right.
for more family. Always
Yes.
room at my table.
Mhm.
There's always room in my life for people that are going to hold me accountable, be supportive, guide me, just the people that I need, and positive.
Right. Right.
Like, but still hold me accountable, still hold me to everything. But I don't need people who are going to try to argue with me about every little thing that comes out of my mouth. Like,
Yeah.
skip that.
Right.
We're good.
Right.
That's why for the last 5 or 6 years, trying to figure out where everyone else is supposed to fit,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're still like, it's one of those things of like, I mean, and I don't think I ever had to reiterate to my mom and dad that you're still my parents. Like, that was never a question.
Yeah.
But it was always like, for me, I felt like I needed to say it,
Yeah. Oh, see, it's
just because I never
flip-flopped.
wanted them to question. Yeah.
Look, it's
I didn't
flip-flopped.
want them to
Yeah.
feel like they were being
Yeah.
replaced, because it's like, absolutely not. You're my mom.
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
no, we're not
Yeah.
doing that.
Exactly. No. Yeah. See?
So,
See, I know.
yeah, it is definitely, I didn't realize how much it is flipped, like, on that.
On
Like,
on our stories, is
like
that what you're
I
saying?
was more, yeah, like I was more worried that my parents were going to think that I was going to try to replace them. And then, like, there were those
Mine, it was
actual,
feelings from actual parents saying you're going to
yeah,
replace us, and I'm like, no, no, no,
right,
no, 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 no. So yeah, see, it's
right.
crazy. It's crazy how things perceived
It's
differently.
crazy
So
how,
keep that in mind.
golly, and we've been doing this for like over a year,
Yeah.
and that just clicked in my head
Yeah.
how similar yet separate, like, our stories are very parallel.
Right. Right. Right.
That's very interesting.
That's why it's
Okay,
good to like get different
talk it
people's
out.
perspectives because well, yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Even though me and you see so much eye to eye on everything with adoption, like our stories are so
Hmm.
different. And that's where you got to keep
Hmm.
it in mind too. Like, just because one person is like, I hate this and this and this and this and this, it doesn't mean that everybody is that way. Like,
It does not mean that every adoptee feels that way. Like,
correct.
I even had the girl I was sitting with at softball yesterday. She even asked me, she was asking me a couple questions about adoption, and she goes, out of nowhere, she went, "Am I saying this right?" And I looked at her and went, "What?" And she was like, "I just want to make sure I'm respectful. Like, am I
See,
saying it right?" And
right.
I said, I mean, for me, because she was asking about biological parents, adoptive parents, like, do I say adoptive parents? Like, is that, and I
Yeah,
said, socially, generally, yes, you
correct.
say that. And I was like, for me personally, it's my parents. And I was like, but I don't ever get mad. I just like politely correct somebody, like, oh yeah, my parents, like
Yeah,
my mom, my dad.
right.
Like, I correct them, and then I say, and she goes, and then you say biological in front of the
Hmm.
others. And I said,
Yeah,
yes, that's how I differentiate.
right.
not everybody's that same way. And I said, but what the way you're saying it is socially and
Right.
generally acceptable. And I was like, but I said, but I do encourage asking them.
Right.
And she goes, that does make sense. And she looked at me, she was like, now I understand why you constantly ask when you ask questions that you don't know answers to, like about cultural differences with other people.
Yeah.
I will ask them and I will lead with, this is going to sound stupid. This is going to sound ridiculous. I don't know how else to get this information other than to ask you. So
Right.
do you mind if I ask you a question? And I'll be like, if I don't ask it right, I'm so sorry. I don't mean it with malice. But everyone knows my heart, so they know I don't mean it with malice. And I'll ask the question and they always crack up and they're like,
But
the way you ask that's fine. But you don't know.
but I love it. I love your approach to it. And I feel like more people need to be like that. You know what I mean? If you
Right.
ask questions with a genuine heart, you can have conversations with people and you
Right.
can, and if you're open to being like educated to it, like, okay, like how
Mm-hmm.
she was with that whole conversation. Like, I get this, but like, is this, I love that. And
Mm-hmm.
those are conversations I
It,
love. I love. Yeah,
communication. It all comes down to
exactly.
communication.
With, yeah,
And make
everything in
sure
this.
like it's just with your communication and with everything that's being said, it just sounds like they never like, again, haven't read the book. I don't know how many times I'm gonna reiterate that. Haven't read the book. I'm just going off face value.
Right.
It just from outsider perspective without reading the book and just hearing this, it's just going,
Yeah.
what did your conversations look like
And that's why I
growing
wanted to
up?
read it. Yeah. That's why I wanted to read it.
Like
Cause I'm like, oof,
yeah,
oof.
I'm very interested as to what the conversations looked like
Yeah.
with them growing up and everything. And I'm very curious because it's all in how you ask the questions anyway,
Yeah.
how you say them. If you say them
Right.
snarky, like if you if you say them snarky and it's usually stuff like we should have learned in like, I don't know, elementary school, then I have a major, like that's a major foul. But if
Right.
you say it's snarky in general, that's a
Right.
major foul. But if you say something like, I don't know how to say this. Like, am I saying that right? Like, and you're
Right.
saying it like it's all about your tone and your delivery.
Right.
You can't look at somebody because if she would have been like, am I even saying that right? I'd have been like,
Wait, whoa. Right. No, it's true. It's so true.
girl, it's like, ma'am, we are at an athletic event. We both have on credentials. Absolutely not.
Right.
Like, no,
Right.
check it.
Right.
But it all like you said, like it all goes back to the people's hearts and stuff. It just I'm very curious to know what those conversations looked like with their family because
Right. And
some of her points I'm like, yeah, I could see that. Other
yeah,
points,
that's why I'm like, there's some things I disagree with, but I did like how she ended the book. So that's why I'm
the
like
final
wondering
one,
if it gets to be wholesome at the end to where it's like, what, this can be like, these things can be said and done. But when it comes
like
to
a
it,
path of self-discovery.
right, right, exactly, exactly, exactly. That's why I think I really like the ending bullet point because it's like, ooh, it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see how it ends. Because yeah, exactly. And so maybe that's what the whole book is like I did that, I went through this and this and this, but then I realized this. Who knows?
I like
So we'll
that.
see. Yeah. Anyway, anything else you want to add on to that?
Um, Not for me, but I feel like you may have like a pearl of wisdom because like you've dived in a little bit deeper than this. So do you have anything to add?
I don't even know if I have a pearl of wisdom. No, like I'm with Delancey, communication. And my biggest thing too is like, I don't know. I feel like for me being adopted, I was just trying to like self-discover and do things that like I wanted to. Cause like I said before, I wanted to solely search out my birth family to tell them thank you. And it
Hmm.
has been so far a wholesome experience. Granted, we live so far away from each other. So there's not really that much interaction. But like I knew going into this there would be feelings hurt, and there
Hmm.
have been, and there continue to be. And when it comes down to it, I have to do what's best for me, and I'm not
Hmm.
being malicious, and I'm not hurting. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm not, and I know it's feelings that people have to work out for themselves. And so I just kind of leave space for that because I understand that.
Hmm.
And so that's where it's hard. Like I said, there's so much I could open up more on, but I choose not to keep
And you don't
grace.
have to.
So
No, but so you do not have to.
I will just
Well,
say
that
that.
and that
And Delancey
I
knows
think
more. We have the same
Yeah,
shoes
well,
more.
I'm the special one. I get to know things. Na, 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 na. But I mean, I think what you just said is so perfectly done. It's like you wanted to search out to say thank you. It wasn't to solidify or verify or substantiate or anything with your identity, because
Correct.
again, being an adoptee is only part of our identity. It's not our identifier. Like, I
Yeah.
think people need to
Agreed. Oh no, did I lose her? Shoot.
realize that you're
Say, are you there?
there you are. You were
Will you,
frozen like this.
will you, so were you. Will you say that one more time? I don't know if
I
you can
literally,
remember it.
girl, you know better than that. You know I don't remember what I said.
Dang it.
You
It
know
was so
that.
good. You started and then it froze. Oh, sorry. It's my internet. All of a sudden I get a thing that says your internet is unstable. Right when she's coming to clutch with something.
Um, what was I saying? There's no telling.
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
It
that
was
was
something
probably so
about like your identity, something about like
yes.
when you look, okay, looking for your birth family, like looking for your biological family, in my opinion, and just based on what I went through with mine, um, I love that you looked for yours to say thank you, because that was my only intention to want to do with mine. And then started having all these questions. And it's because it's like, I don't have questions until I have the opportunity to ask them. And when I'm handed the opportunity to ask questions, I'm like, I have all of them. Let me ask them all.
Right.
And I genuinely appreciated that, but I didn't need all of that to solidify my identity, substantiate my identity, justify my identity, create my identity. My identity, like one of my identifiers is I am an adoptee, but I'm also a daughter. I'm a sister, I'm a sister-in-law. I'm an aunt. And then apparently I have a bunch of 20-something-year-old GAs calling me mom, which I'm totally fine with. So if any of you are listening to this, I love you. I do appreciate you. But it's like I'm a lot of things.
Right.
And you are a lot of things. We as human beings are a lot of things, but the main thing that I am is spoiler alert, a child of God. So a
Amen.
child of God
I love it.
does not need to have, the verification of human beings on this planet.
Right.
I don't need that
Right.
personally. And I'm so thankful that I finally I never felt like I needed that to begin with, but
Yeah. No.
I love what Milena said, that she's enjoying her journey and that she's doing what's right for her. You're doing what's right for you, which we all love this and support this. And I think that's amazing. And sometimes there are going to be hurt feelings. And
Right.
sometimes, and it's never intentionally done. I don't think anybody that is a decent human being and has a servant's heart goes into any situation with the intent to hurt somebody else.
Right. Right.
No one does that. That's
There
cruel.
there are people. I mean, I personally know people that do
Oh
do
yeah,
it,
no,
but yeah.
there are people out there who do go into those scenarios,
Right.
but I don't think those people do not have a servant's heart,
Correct.
and those people do not know the Lord the way that they should.
Exactly.
Gonna say that
Amen.
right there.
Amen to
Um,
that.
and then they don't have a relationship with the Lord, because the Lord would definitely be like, your life's not gonna work until you get that together. Sorry,
Exactly.
like it's just not.
So true.
But like yours, it, anyone that goes to look to figure out these things that we talked about, the 20 points, whether you're the adoptive parents or the adoptee, no matter what position you are, I really appreciate that you brought this up, because I'm going to reiterate it, because there were feelings that were hurt in my story as well, and most of them were mine. And it's like that's something that people need to prepare for. It's that find who you are, put in the work, like Milena said, discover who you are, discover what you stand for, discover what you believe in, do your research, do your work, work with people, find guides, go to people for advice, talk it through. I appreciate this list, but this list is not going to fix you.
Correct. Correct. 100%
And
correct.
it's not going to fix the relationship with your parents.
Right,
It
right,
takes
right.
it takes both sides
Hmm.
to work on their communication. It all comes back to communication.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
boom,
No,
done.
I love that. No, I think that's great to end that on. Seriously. So, yeah.
As
Anyway,
Pockets over here is trying to fight me.
like Delancey said, we may have to do a follow up on this book. I am currently listening to it. I get, but like it's crazy. I'm putting it into the pockets of my day when I wake up at the butt crack of dawn before my children. And even then, it's
Mm,
like, oh, I only get 10 minutes of that. So it's hard.
yeah.
It's hard. I get it. So, anyway, okay. No, this was good. I'm glad we did this. Thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate it so
Oh,
much.
girl, I still appreciate the fact that you asked me to do this with you.
Yes. So good. And the dog, if you guys were not watching, it was hilarious. Pocket randomly would
She's
just like beeline it across the
It's,
screen.
if you watch the YouTube video, you'll figure out very quickly I'm sitting on the floor because I'm
I
at my
love it.
parents' house because the entire world is out of the state.
Out of the country.
And I'm watching dogs and bunnies and fish and houses and pools and,
I love it so
baby sister
much.
comes in clutch,
I love it. I
so
love it. No, I love it so much. So, okay. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening, and we will catch you next time.